Yeah, but that's definitely what we aiming for. I mean, personal training for sure. I mean, just anything in life. I mean, you really can't get anything done short term. Right? It needs to be long term. Like, we've had clients from when we first went up to that are still here. And it's not just like, 10, 15. I mean, you're looking at like at least, would you say 35 to 40 that are just like been with us since the beginning.
Yep.
And they're the ones that have the most results because they understand it's
consistent.
Long term. Yeah, accountability, consistency. And that's what you need to achieve anything that's whatever your goal is when you come and approach us about what you want.
Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This is Brett Wiley. I got Noah and Tyler with me on the podcast today from Triple P Fitness. So thanks for coming over.
Of course. Yeah, appreciate it.
I know we have a connection that got you guys in here to chat, but I kind of just wanted to go over your background a little bit about how you got into personal fitness and strength training, and then a little bit about what you do at Triple P as well, and kind of about Triple P once we get to talking about that. So thanks for coming on.
Of course. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool setup.
We're working on a second studio.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't know if you heard the construction noise when you guys first came in, but we'll have another studio here shortly.
Hell yeah.
A little bit crazier because there's car parts everywhere, but we won't talk about that too much right now. So let's just kind of talk about what you currently do and then how you got into being strength trainers or just personal fitness. And also like, I'm very into running, but not necessarily strength training. So is strength training something that anyone can get into? Do you see a lot of people who typically wouldn't have done that or thought it was like, you have to be like super buff or super whatever, but they just want to start getting into different types of physical activity? So I kind of want to break all that down.
Yeah.
Let's start with just your backgrounds. We'll start with Noah. Just tell us a little bit about like how you got started in this. I know you have some certifications too, so kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been lifting myself in the weight room since freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Did that the whole way up through college, played college football at Lock Haven University. Ended up stopped playing that my sophomore year, got my fifth concussion. So that kind of ended that. But that's kind of when I fell in love with the fitness side of things. Was going to get a student teaching degree to be a teacher, high school gym, basically. Started student teaching, hated every minute of it. So then that kind of left me with, I need to move back home and figure out what I'm going to do. At that time, an old friend of mine reached out who owned a private personal training studio. So started that, fell in love with that, was doing that for about 3 years until we created Triple P, which we'll get into. But that's kind of the origination.
Now you have an education background.
Correct.
As well. So
Correct.
That's cool. You guys both like thought you were going to go that track, and then
So we've known each other since 8th grade. Went to the same exact high school, college, and same exact major too. So
nice, same year and everything.
That's right.
Same year,
2017 and 2021.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So kind of walk through that. I know. So you have a different background in education. I did slightly stalk you guys online.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Cool.
But so kind of walk through the same thing. Did you kind of follow the same path or?
Yeah, so kind of similar. I started to work out kind of like the middle school. I really started to hit hard in high school. I'm on the shorter side, so I always kind of used to like really like kind of get to me. So what I would do is I would kind of balance it out with like starting to work out, do sports. And then him and I, we know each other since middle school. So we started our very first gym actually was Red Cedar, which is no longer there. That's like the OG of.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Red Cedar. They're no longer there anymore, but that kind of really got us into lifting, kind of like learning how the basics and stuff. And then on top of what we learned in middle school, high school, a little bit of college, we were able to kind of put everything combined in and kind of make our own style of training, which is, I think, a huge key of why we are so successful at Triple P's, because we have all this knowledge we've acquired over years and years, and it goes back as far as middle school. So
yeah. So let's talk quickly about like what you have to do to just become like you have certification or you take courses on it.
Correct.
So like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Walk us through, you don't have to go through the whole, summary of the course, but kind of tell us like, what do you learn when you're going to be a strength training coach or a fitness coach, and what it does like to help me. I'm coming to you as your client. How is you going through those courses going to help me not get injured or do different things and get the best benefit out of it?
Yeah, for sure. So it varies per course. There's like 4 or 5 really respected, credited things you can go through. Me personally, I went through and I think he did as well, the International Sports Science Association.
Yeah.
That's going to be mostly online.
Okay.
So that'll kind of start with obviously a big upfront investment to buy the course, purchase the course. So you have to commit financially to that. But what you get from that is you're going to get essentially a whole study kit, and you have to complete quizzes along the way. And that's going to be everything from, body parts, muscle groups, bones, things like that, to protein intake, nutrition. It covers everything, everything related to strength training, the body, things like that. And then at the end, there'll be a big test that you have to take, and you have to be either in person or proctored through the camera to get the certification. With that, you can get sub-certifications, which I think we both have, nutritionists and a strength and conditioning specialist. So it's pretty extensive. You're looking at a 3 to 6 month
It's
kind
not like
of
I'm doing it on
range.
a weekend.
No,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's-
can 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Depending on how much time you want to put in to get it done, because
Yeah.
all the materials all laid out for you. So like what I did when I was getting mine, I took about an hour a couple times a week, just kind of doing the mini tests, doing all the small things, and that's how I was doing it. I think I got it done within, I want to say 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Just taking an hour or two,
So
a
it's
couple times a week.
Like,
Yeah,
you gotta-
100%. Oh yeah.
It's good that you have that barrier of entry because it keeps people who aren't just like weekend warriors going through and have no business being there, like
yeah.
training other people, and then I hire them and I'm getting hurt or whatever because
Right.
they don't know what they're doing.
And that's what we do, like with our hiring process too. You're going to have a certification, either from NASM, ISO, the one we have from, or ACE, kind of one of the
Those
main,
are like the three
Those are the
standards.
three
accredited
Yeah.
ones. And additionally, what we'll do is we'll do the initial interview process, but we'll also have you train one of our trainers, kind of see how you do with that, see how you are with taking feedback and criticism.
Nice.
And you have to do that just to be kind of considered.
Like
for
you
the
run them through
position.
your own little.
100.
Yeah,
no,
it's
no.
really cool.
They
no,
run
yeah.
us through. They
Yeah.
run us as a client.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like a 2-part process. So you do like the in-person, and that's when Noah will like kind of lay out all the expectations, what's expected to be a trainer here at Triple P. And then whatever trainer, like one of us, one of the trainers who are available, then that potential candidate will be training one of us. And it's a whole hour to do whatever they want. So then it kind of gives us an idea of like where they're at, where their strengths and weaknesses, what they got to work on, what they strive on, stuff like that. It's really cool.
That's
it's so
awesome.
cool.
And that's what Triple P.
Right.
Correct. Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
they have their own training program that you have to go through, even though you already may have worked somewhere else. It's
100%.
kind of like
Correct. Yeah.
they're setting you up with their standards,
Yep.
what they want.
No doubt, for sure.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how because you have obviously had experience at other places, whether you're going there or you're working there.
Yep.
But like, let's talk about how Triple P is a little bit different and just kind of a general overview of Triple P Fitness.
Yeah, so kind of what separates us is like a multitude of things, right? So first off, obviously, if you're looking at going to a personal training studio and you see brand new custom equipment, that's going to be a big plus, which we definitely wanted to invest in. And then when you show up at the location, you see the big artsy mural that we just got put on top of the building, which is a big eye-popping thing. And then you come in, you see the lighting, which is all over our social media, and you look out the windows, you see the riverfront view. Things like that are obviously big pluses.
Yeah.
In terms of what separates us, though, I would say it's just our team. So we currently have 5 trainers, all 26 years or younger, which is kind of like a rare thing. You don't see a lot of businesses. I know you guys have a pretty young team as well.
Yeah. I'm like the old guy on
yeah,
team,
right.
and I'm not even that old.
Which
so
is great.
Hopefully I'm not that old.
But kind of just having that young group and that young energy, and we're all pretty tight knit. We'll hang out on the weekends pretty often and things like that. So people can see that, and you kind of build that energy. Like when a new client walks in, everyone's greeting them, everyone's cheering for them when they're lifting and doing a big lift. So I think a multitude of things, but primarily the team is kind of what makes Triple P the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I noticed, and I just have a question. You guys had on the site starting at ages 12 and up, which I know sometimes you don't see.
Sure.
Other gyms have obviously different age ranges.
Yeah.
It was just interesting to me. Like, obviously, you have a different training regimen or different powerlifting or whatever
yeah.
you're doing for a 12-year-old because their body's not
Sure.
quite set up to be doing a lot of bulky, muscle, putting on a lot of muscle. But kind of walk me through how, not just someone that's younger, but just how you would evaluate, say, a kid that's in high school that wants to come in and do stuff versus a fully grown adult that wants to come in. I'm sure there's some risks there that you have to keep them from doing certain things and kind of limit them. But walk me through that. How do you work with a younger crew,
Yeah.
basically of clients.
Yeah. So with the younger kids, the first thing you want to do is establish like range of motion, see where they're at. Primarily with that, you're looking at their form and making sure everything's moving right, their knees, their shoulders. Not going to be something where you're adding a whole bunch of weight.
Right.
Obviously, the goal with having them in at like 12 years old and getting them started is as they hit puberty and are continuing to grow, they're also building muscle at that same time. That's something that we kind of did when we started out in high school. Our freshman year, we started lifting with a freshman football team, and we hit our growth spurt at that exact same time. So you're building muscle as you're growing, you're eating all the time. That's kind of why we recommend that 12-year-old start, is just to kind of get them in the gym right as they're hitting puberty.
Well, and some kids are a little later, some kids are earlier, but it's probably also you're setting some really good fundamentals. So they might not be lifting a lot of weight, and they might not be putting on whatever muscle they're looking to get. For whatever sport, I'm sure some of it's even sports tailored. Like
I mean everything we do. I mean, I would say every client has like their own. Yeah, everyone doesn't do the same thing. Everyone's workout is really tailored to them specifically for whatever their goals are. Right. And then I want to go back to what you said about the 12-year-olds, about like how when we like to start them. Yeah. What's really cool about that too is not only do we train as young as 12, but we also train, our oldest client is 93 years old.
That's awesome. Man.
Yeah. So our range is literally from 12 years old to 93 years old. So it's
it's really, still really probably cool. On both sides of that range. On anyone in between 12 to 93, you're still initially setting the groundwork for the fundamentals, especially if it's someone who's inexperienced. But definitely on the younger or older, I'm sure you have to like really set up a good foundation for them and then build from there based off of like where you start to notice their strengths and weaknesses are with whatever training they're going through.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of back to what you're talking about with the initial evaluation. So kind of how that would work, obviously with the younger kids, their parents would come in with them. Right. But if they're older, we'll sit them down for the consultation, kind of go over any health things that they may want to discuss, obviously what their goals are. And then what we'll do is we'll do about a 45-minute introductory training session. That's going to be pretty similar based on the client. So that's just going to be your body weight squats, some movements where you're getting the heart rate up, see how they respond. Not a lot of weight unless they're handling it well. Right. Then you can increase, but the goal with the initial consultation and free session is to see where you're at.
And you run everyone through the same.
Yep. Pretty similar. Yeah. Everyone's a little bit different. Obviously, if someone has a messed up knee, you can't do it. Yeah. But the goal with that is kind of just see how they respond, see how they are being pushed, see if that's something they're going to be willing to do consistently. Because if you're not willing to do it consistently, we don't even want you to start it. So yeah, that's kind of the goal with that. Yeah.
Cool. What do you see as like, I'm sure with any activity, any sports, whatever, there's always like trends. You start to see trends. Like, what do you see that has come and gone through the lifting and strength training world? And then what's like a newer thing that seems to be a little bit more popular? Because for me as an outsider, it probably all looks the same. But for you guys, you probably see like, well, this used to be hot, and now this is what people really want to focus on.
Sure. Yeah. I think in terms of kind of the sports, I'll relate to some of the sports we play, like with the agility and things of that nature, like the speed ladders and the cone drills and things like that. I think you're kind of seeing people stray away from those as running 3 feet through or 2 feet through a speed ladder. How's that going to translate to you performing better?
That's what they were doing when like,
yeah, right. Yeah. Same thing for us. See that all the way up through the youth football and things like that. So I think, that's starting to dissipate, and you see more like explosive type movements with weight bearing things. So we'll have the weighted vests, and obviously we have state of the art equipment that we can use too. But I think kind of just transforming from the all that footwork kind of drills that went viral in like 2010s through 2020 to kind of like putting in the work, but also I think a big thing that we stress too is being able to move and be explosive when you're exhausted. So as you're getting tired in these games, you're going to be tired the second half. So how are we still able to move weight and translate that to the game in the second half, continuing to prolong your success?
I played ice hockey, and I played hockey almost my whole life. Yeah. And it was the same deal, kind of probably similar to football. So we had dry land practice, which was when you didn't have ice time, you'd go out in the field and practice in the soccer field. But it was a lot of the same thing. And I've noticed now, just from seeing different teams training and stuff, like kids now that are training for hockey don't do nearly. It's probably similar to football and other physical sports. Like they don't do nearly the amount of like repetitive small motion workouts like I used to do. Now it's like all very targeted, like strength training, or they're doing bag skates. They have like those parachutes.
Right.
they'll skate with,
all the
or they'll run
resistance,
with.
the resistance stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's huge.
Resistance
Right.
training. They have like the
that's
skate.
massive.
It's like a skate treadmill. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a lot more advanced than whenever I was in school and playing hockey.
Movement patterns that relate directly to your sport are going to
It's very targeted. Like I just remember like my coach had like a big dowel rod with a rope.
Sure.
And like we would just do this
Old
in the
school.
field while the other kids doing push-ups, and like very, very rudimentary compared to what they can target now with sports training.
Sure. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys see obviously any age range, right? But do you have a lot of kids from like the high school and college age that are focusing on, like you said, sports? And then outside of sports, do you just have people that are like Joe Schmo?
Sure.
I'm just getting off work. I'm coming over and I just want to focus on different things. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I'm sure there's a big mix, but what do you think like that main, what's your main group? And then like, what's the group that you see that tends to stick with it the longest too?
Yeah, for sure. So,
I don't know if we really have a main group, and we literally train. I mean, we literally have everything.
Well,
I mean,
93-year-old to
I mean, we really don't have like, we don't just like train specifically student athletes. Like we train literally everything. I mean, would you say that's pretty accurate?
yeah, I would say though, surprisingly, the majority of our clients are probably kind of like the everyday people you talked about. So the 35 to 55 age range, business professionals, things like that. Obviously, personal training is not cheap.
So you get a lot of people that like, and this is just in my head how I imagine it, but they start out at like we won't name the gyms, but they start out at like those purple and yellow gyms, and then they start on their own. They're doing some stuff, they're learning, whatever, but then they realize like they're kind of limited. And then that's when they reach out to get like a trainer and go to a more dedicated space that they kind of grow out of it? Or is it a lot of people that just shoot straight in that look for a trainer?
A little bit of both. Definitely what
Definitely
you're talking
both.
about in terms of people, going into the gym by themselves and kind of having no idea what they're doing. But primarily the thing you see is people want an accountability partner. So people want someone that they have to show up for and kind of they have the entire plan laid out for them. So that's kind of the biggest thing with newer people as well. So
And they're paying quite a bit more. It's not like the 10, $20 a month.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
which is a good thing. And what we try to do is have people invest in longer terms, so whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8 months. That way, if they're putting up a financial investment early on, they're more likely to stick to it on a weekly basis.
Yeah, but that's definitely what we're aiming for. I mean, personal training for sure. I mean, just anything in life. I mean, you really can't get anything done short term. Everything's gonna be long term. Like, we've had clients from when we first went up to that are still here. And it's not just like, 10, 15. I mean, you're looking at like at least, would you say 35 to 40 that are just like been with us since the beginning.
Yep.
And they're the ones that have the most results because they understand it's
consistent.
long term.
They
Yeah,
stick with it.
accountability, consistency. And that's what you need to achieve anything that's whatever your goal is when you come and approach us about what you want.
When I'm sure you guys get to know your clients really well. So if they miss one or whatever, like, I don't know how it is with you guys. I mean, but it's also a more professional relationship. Like I do a lot of very like long distance running. So I have a group of buddies that do it with me. And like, if you miss it and you said you're going to be there, you don't hear about the end. You'll never hear the end of it for the rest of the week.
We're extremely hard on that. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So inside the gym,
That's the accountability you were
Yep,
talking
yep.
about.
1,000%. Yeah.
Accountability partner. Now you're paying for that, or it's a professional manner, but you do develop like a friendly relationship with your clients. So like, hey, why'd you miss it the other week?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
was going on?
We're like, I would say we're extremely hard on our clients. So we'll have a
100%.
a whiteboard, a big whiteboard right in the gym that everyone sees when they come in. And on that whiteboard, it's a cancel and late wall of shame. So if you cancel,
You don't want to be on that board.
right?
No.
Yeah, exactly. If you cancel under the same day, you get thrown on the board. Or if you're over 5 minutes late, you get thrown on the board.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at how well that worked compared to when we didn't have it and people were canceling a lot. But they're like in their head, like, oh, I don't want everyone at the gym to know I canceled today. So they're showing up and getting in and continuing to be consistent.
That's
So
an awesome
That was a
thing,
huge
yeah.
ad. Yeah, that was a pretty big thing for us.
I wouldn't want that. I mean, unless it's like an emergency, like,
Well, yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God. Like,
We're not going to throw
Yeah.
someone on the board.
Kid
if they
threw
get
up
a
this
car
morning, I
accident.
can't-
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
but if you're just being lazy and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
and that's
I
and that's
make it tonight.
that's usually what it is. It's like minor things like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's cold outside. I don't
And
wanna
you
go.
know,
Or-
you know
yeah.
when it's
had a long day at work. I don't want to go. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
that's the best time to go though.
I know. Oh yeah.
For me working out, like I do a lot of obviously cardio, but like the days where you're laying in bed or it's rainy or it's crappy out, like
you feel
don't
the best
wanna
right
do
after
it.
that. Yeah.
But then you get it done and you're like, hell yeah.
Feel good.
Like,
Feel
that was
accomplished.
way better.
Done. Yep.
When
Yeah.
it's the perfect day to go, you get done and you're like, you're still happy you did it, but there's not that like as much of an endorphin rush from it because you're like, hell yeah, I went out and I like no one else was doing it. I went out and did it.
Yep. And then that's the difference between, the consistent clients and the inconsistent clients, and seeing results quicker than someone who's only doing it on the days when they feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then they probably don't stay as long either. So
Right.
Yeah.
they either fall out of the cycle quicker or you can probably tell when they start missing more
Cancel
and
all the
more and
time,
then they
yeah.
just don't
Fade
show
out.
up anymore.
Yep.
Huh. Yeah, I mean that's with anything. Like if you're involved in any extracurricular thing at work or after work, whatever, you got your own things. You'll see people come in to a group or a community of whether it's pick up sports or whatever you're doing, and they stay with it for a while. But then you can kind of start to feel like they're going to bounce out.
Yeah,
pretty
they
soon.
start
And that's
stuff.
another thing we're stressing too is like, in order to see results, you want to be in here 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Okay.
So we try not to have anyone that has one session a week because with 1 hour a week, how much are we really getting done? You got to
It's hard to
Right.
entire
accomplish.
full body workout. But even with 2, if someone's coming in twice a week and they cancel one of them, and then the next week they're not feeling it, then more of a chance to fade out. So if we're able to get our clients more consistent, they'll be able to see the results.
Yeah.
In an everybody wins situation.
And that's more rewarding for you too, because like,
Sure.
yeah, I mean it's more business and they're in more and they're going to stay longer, but also at the end of the day, like you're helping people too.
100%.
So there's a reward, not just a monetary reward, because obviously they're paying you to coach them
Right,
or
yeah.
train them, but
Right.
like there also has to be that reward of like, damn, that person from when they came in till now, like look
Insane.
at that difference.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
whether it's transforming because they were losing weight or they're just trying to get healthier or they are truly, trying to work on something in particular that's not like weight loss or whatever
Yeah.
driven. There's still a transformation. So for you guys to see that is like
It's
probably
awesome.
pretty cool. You're
Yeah,
like,
it feels great. Yeah, and like I said, the more you get in, the more we can get your results to you quicker
Mm-hmm.
and faster, and it makes us feel good. It makes you feel good, which is the most important part.
And you're helping
that's
them
huge.
outside of the gym.
Oh
too.
yeah.
So like,
everything we do, it's not just it translates to their daily life.
Mhm.
Like don't get me wrong, it's cool when they do some cool numbers in there, but what's even cooler is when you're able to do something that you couldn't do outside the
yeah,
gym.
they have more confidence
Yeah.
outside of the
Exactly,
gym,
exactly.
whatever, if it's at work or their family or
And those are the best
Whatever.
kind of like stories to hear. Like those are my
Yes.
favorite stories to hear. Like, yeah, it's like I just realized, 3 months ago I couldn't pick up my daughter and throw over my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't even think about it and did it the other day, no problem, or whatever
Yeah.
the case.
And
may be.
yeah.
Those are the kind of cooler.
Those are the best
that we love to
stories.
hear.
yeah.
Those are the ones that feel the best because that's what we want.
Well, you're actually making an impact
Big difference. yeah.
outside the gym on someone's life, not just like, oh, cool, well, you could
Hit a
deadlift
number.
whatever now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, that just translated into an actual
Yeah.
thing at
100%.
in their day, whatever. Whether it's
Picking up a piano moving, or
helping them pick something up, or even like I said, it's amazing how even if someone's not going through a weight loss transformation or just trying to get healthier, maybe they didn't have a great lifestyle before, just beginning to work out.
yeah,
Whether you can't physically see those like changes or you didn't need those changes, like people might not think you needed that.
Yep.
Like just doing it personally, even for me, like it does build that confidence for the rest of the day if you get that workout done. So like continuing to do that does change people's mentality just of how they think about their day or confidence at work or whether they're trying to be in a relationship or they aren't
Yep.
one. Like it does make a big difference everywhere outside of just that workout.
yep. And it's
So-
all about stacking those days that you just talked about
Yeah.
where you don't want to do it. So
Yeah, it's cumulative too. Like
oh
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you can keep layering it. So you get a good foundation, but you got to keep
yep.
doing it. So
And you build confidence around it too, which is
Yeah.
great. So
how do you, so that's a good question because I've felt this way before, but I've found my own ways through it. Like people hit a goal and how do you get them to think that it's this never ending game of like chasing the next goal? Because I've felt that
Yeah.
with my own goals with running, like, okay, well I did that. Now what? Well, if I keep doing this just feels like the goalposts keep moving. I'm going to get burnt out. So how do
Yeah.
you avoid that with your clients?
I know with me personally, I like to set realistic goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to tell someone, oh, we're going to try to get to 600 pounds.
Right.
That's unrealistic. So I try to make them like smaller, achievable goals. So when we hit them, we're on to the next one. So let's say you did 10 push-ups this week. Let's strive for 12 next week and just start building it up like that. So I noticed like the realistic goals are what really keeps myself as well as my
Smaller
clients.
increments.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, keeps them grinding, keeps them wanting to come in, keeps them wanting to work. And I know that's what works best for me. And I think when I like watched everyone else kind of train their clients, I think they do a similar thing where they make those realistic goals. So
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of acknowledge each goal, especially, you know, once you've been in the gym for 6 months to a year, whatever it is. The progress doesn't come as quick because you get, obviously you have
There's a really fast
right
acceleration
call that
of progress, and then that next inch is harder every time.
Yep. You call that the beginner gains, where you're hitting a PR on a lift every week. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But eventually that'll taper off, and you'll have to work harder to earn them. So I think people find that to be like the more satisfying goals. Kind of what we'll do as well is on that whiteboard I was talking about, we have like a weekly client success board. So anytime you're hitting a number you haven't hit on a weight, or you get a new PR for whatever it is, you're going to get thrown up on that board.
Nice.
Which literally like everybody looks at. Everyone loves that too. So I think it's about acknowledging.
When your other clients probably are like, oh, dang.
oh yeah.
Joe hit that.
Right.
Yeah,
Whatever.
they all
So
look at everyone's different because we have about 5 sections. Each trainer has their own section, and like my clients aren't just looking at their section; they're looking at Noah's section, they're looking at Adrian's section, they're looking at everyone's section because they want to be able to, see where everyone's at because it kind of gives them like that competitive edge to like, okay, well that client's about my weight and my age. He did 60 pounds. I'm gonna try to do that too. Maybe I'll add an extra 5 pounds to it. So it's very beneficial.
That is tough though, but it is more rewarding, like you said. So I don't mean to keep going back to running, but like if someone's going to do a 5K and their first one they ever did was 35 minutes, to drop to 29 minutes is not as hard. To them, it might be initially, but then like you said, as you get lower and lower and lower and lower in the time, especially with running, like to drop your 5K time from 20 to 19:59, sub 20 is like a way more work than from 27 to 25.
Right.
And it's interesting. I never even thought about that with, strength training, like the next weight, as you get more and more weight, that grind gets slower.
Yeah.
But once you hit it though, it's more rewarding. So like
100%.
you might be 2 seconds faster or 5 pounds more, but like
it took
that
weeks,
5 pounds
weeks
feels
to
a
get
hell of
there.
a lot better than the last time when you added 20 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's it gets sweeter each time.
Right. Because you kind of feel like at the beginning, they feel like superhumans because they go from benching 135
Yeah, they're still excited.
225, like, oh, this is great. But then they're like, get humbled when it's like, I've been at 225 for 3 weeks. What's going on? But then they finally reach it like,
When's it going to change?
I earned
What
this.
am I going to get?
Yeah. It's about celebrating like those small wins.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have to, like, you can't celebrate everything. I mean, obviously any achievement's great, but like you kind of have to drive your clients to like you said, you're a little tough on them. So you do have to celebrate obviously some wins, but I'm sure there's a fine line of like, okay, you're praising them for everything, where it's more like, all right, you need to toughen up on this. Like you said, a little bit of tough love.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good at that. It's like a quick acknowledgement of like great work. But I think, when you go from hitting a squat PR and you're all excited about it and they're like, all right, now we're going to do heavy lunges, and like, okay, it's like
Short-lived.
right back to being humble. Yeah. So it's just quick acknowledgement and on to the next thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So personally, what's each of your favorite, whatever types of training or types of workout to do, either personally or for your clients? Like what do you guys get into the most? Because I'm sure there are different types of, just whatever, different types of strength workouts or different routines that you do that you just get pumped when it's time to do that.
Sure. Yeah. I think we probably should have brought somebody else on because we're pretty similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as far as
we're gonna focus on kind of, if someone's coming in 3 days a week, we're gonna focus on a push pull leg split.
Okay.
And primarily for the both of us, that's going to begin on a push day with some sort of bench press movement, whether it's with a barbell, dumbbell, incline, decline, whatever it may be. And then, you go to the pull day, there's going to be some deadlift variation, whether it's hex bar,
straight bar,
deficit, all different things you can do.
Okay.
And then that leg day is going to start with some sort of squat. So that's kind of the big focus on those compound movements in terms of building strength. And then you do the accessory movements behind it. That's kind of where everyone varies. But I know we both love and hate barbell lunges. So anytime we're working out legs, that'll be the last thing we do because it's the hardest exercise you can do. in my opinion. And you're always going to be sore from that. We've been doing barbell lunges since we were 13, and every single time we're still
The next morning.
Your body just never adapts to that movement.
Huh.
And it's not just a physically movement, it's a mental movement too, because when you look and where you got to like lunge, you're just like, oh man, but you just got to lock in and get it done.
I think that's another cool thing with our team though, is me and him are pretty similar, but every trainer kind of has their own style, which is great. So I think you have us two that will do those compound movements first, but then you'll have Adrian, who's more core centric, so he'll do a lot of ab work to begin his sessions typically. Lauren has her own twist; she's super high energy, dancing all the time, things like that. And then Chris kind of has his own style. He's much more chill, but very like, I call him like the technician. Like he's always like explaining things thoroughly and has.
He goes deep diving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we all have different methods, which is cool because once I do that initial consultation, I kind of can read the consult and kind of place them with the best trainer who I think would fit. And work
Nice.
with that.
Are you placing them for everyone, or does everyone kind of do their own?
Well, so it depends. If they are bringing them in and like, I want to work with Tyler, obviously,
okay.
yeah, in that case. But if I just get a general consultation or a call or an email, then I'll do that consultation and figure it out from there. Yeah.
Because our ultimate goal is bringing our own people. That's what we always strive for. But, sometimes when someone's struggling or something like that, if they're showing that they're putting the effort in and putting the work in, then when there's a consult comes in, Noah usually, well, it all depends. I mean, if it's someone, like you said, an email, a phone call, checking out the website, he does a great job of just kind of distributing them, depending on who they would do the best with. So, but we always do try to bring our own people in.
Yeah.
That's really a big main focus, but we're always trying to get people in regardless if they're going to stay with us or not, just kind of getting the word of mouth out. That's sometimes our biggest struggle is just trying to get that word of mouth, because we kill it on the social media. We do great with the Berg part. We probably have we're always on the first 3 pages of the month. So
Nice.
that helps us a lot too. But
Do you think now there's, I just see it. So this is like a question I think I already know the answer to, but do you see that it's more popular now for everyone to just be more focused on strength training or more focused on fitness in general than what it was even 10 years ago? Like I see it even in my niche of like fitness that I'm involved in, but strength training, I feel like is less taboo. Like, oh, you got to be like super, you don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like you can be a mom, whatever, and go home and still not be like this super jacked, like hard bod meathead and be into strength training. Like it's not like what people I think thought it used to be.
100%. Yeah. I think now is like the hottest time for strength training and personal training. As studies come out, it's kind of the biggest overarching thing that most of these studies are concluding, that the more muscle mass you have as you get older, the healthier you're going to be.
Yeah.
The longer,
probably better for
you're going to live.
long-term bone density.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the studies are out. Obviously, everyone's all in on strength training, and obviously social media helps us out with that because people see that all the time. And also, I think if you look at like social media, and there's things, and I know this isn't like the best reason, but there's women that view having a personal trainer as like a bougie thing to do, or so that can help us out as well. But yeah, in terms of the actual strength training and personal training, I don't think it's ever been hotter than it is right now.
I think it's like, so I'm just like, I'm going to continue to relate it to like where I'm focused on as far as fitness. Like with running, I do ultra running. So everything's 30, 50 plus mile races.
Yeah.
But through that, especially on social media and the internet, has seen an explosion of bringing in people to these fitness niches within the fitness industry. I think because you're able to tell the story, like your success stories, not just as a gym or a personal trainer, but like individually. Like I can share what I did, and then I have a friend that's like, like I've been struggling with something personally. I think that would be, I'm attracted to that type of fitness. That seems cool to me. Like I want to get into it. So like, it's this huge snowball of just like, oh man, your client shared a story about how they did this personal, they had a PR or they got in better shape. They were able to lift their kid, like you were saying. And then like their friend also is in a situation now. They're like, hey, who did you go to? And that just, you guys seem like you capitalize on that very well, like catching them on social media like that. But the ability for gyms and personal trainers to just tell their stories now is like, it's right there on your phone. You can do it right there. So it's definitely, I think, attributed to that explosion in the fitness industry in the last like 10 years.
Yeah, and that's why we invest like so much money in our videographer and posting on a daily basis.
You're telling stories.
Continue to tell our story and kind of get the word out, because people know how important it is now. Kind of what you mentioned, like with people talking to other people and getting them in here. We have a referral program that's probably done more for us than anything else we do marketing wise. So to put it like simply, basically, if someone refers someone and they come in and buy a package, that person would get 3 free sessions. So we'll have some people that are just like grinding for us.
They just
like,
keep,
oh my gosh, yeah,
turning people in.
they're
Oh, it's
training
great,
for free
yeah.
basically at this point. So that's been a huge thing for us as well.
Nice.
Because I mean, we probably have had a couple clients that have gotten almost a free package because of the amount of referrals they've done for us.
And you guys don't care. You're like,
Yeah, it's like,
let's
yeah,
go.
that helps us,
absolutely.
spread the word, and it's great. And then, like, I think to kind of piggyback a little bit off that too, what's super nice is there's been so many studies now too that are stating how there's a lot of correlation into strength training, specifically into like, if you want to lose weight, you want to maintain weight, you want to gain weight, all those you have to have some kind of strength training implemented in order to achieve.
It's not just diet.
Yeah, it's not just diet. Diet is huge.
It is.
But you definitely need the strength training for, those goals as well. So.
Yeah. Now you guys are both, I don't mean to shift off of that, but you said you're also, you did nutrition certifications as well.
Yeah.
So like when you're sending one of your clients home, are you also, and that might be dependent on the client too, but are you helping them with like a nutritional plan to help them achieve their goals if that's what they need? Maybe they don't need that too, but I'm sure there's clients that you do set up, whatever their goal is, to eat a certain way to achieve whatever result they're looking for. I'm sure that makes a huge difference, whether, like you said, you're losing weight or you're trying to gain muscle. You can't just be eating junk food all the time or whatever.
A lot of our clients are interested in that as well.
Is that additional?
Yeah, so we do nutrition counseling like totally for free along with the training, because as you said, it relates directly into what we do and
it's so different
in their performance
from each person, probably.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So when we initially get a client, we'll send them a medical questionnaire, and then if they're interested in the nutritional questionnaire, kind of just to see how many meals you're eating per week or per day, calorie intake, all like that. So we'll help them for that. We can't build plans for them because I'm pretty sure that's illegal. You have to be like a registered dietitian to do that. But we'll give them guidance and counseling along those lines. And some people, you see people who, completely dive into that with the nutrition. They're in here 4 to 5 days a week, and then they're sleeping, 8 hours a day. And you just see them continuously growing.
So you mentioned sleep. Is that also, so if I'm trying to gain weight through muscle mass, is that rest, I'm sure, is just as important as much time you're spending and focusing on certain body areas in the gym. You got to spend just as much time resting probably, or it's probably just as important, or else I know, like, at least with running or physical activity, and you guys know from football, like if you're not resting properly, like you're going to get hurt.
Yep.
You're going to have issues, and you're going to have a very short-lived time at the gym or whatever you're trying to focus on. So do you stress that with your clients as well? Like, hey, here's how we properly recover, rest and recovery, not just lifting.
1,000%. Yes.
It's probably just as hard too, because you can't control that when they leave.
No.
Right. Yeah. So we kind of advise them on your very worst nights, you should try and get 6 hours a night, on your very worst nights. And if you can get 8 to 9, that'd be a huge cheat code to continue to grow. Because obviously, as you're lifting, you're tearing yourself down. You got to recover.
Yeah, it's breakdown.
So we're always stressing that for sure.
Yeah. I think on top of the sleep too, I know one thing, like with my clients specifically, and I've heard other, trainers doing it too. I mean, just hydration is so important too.
Yeah.
It's not just sleep and the food. You got to be hydrated. You got to make sure the muscles are moving the way they need to. In order for that, you got to stay hydrated. So like, I know, like when I'm training my clients, when I'm switching the weight or I'm transitioning into a different exercise, I'm like, hey, go get some water. Then at least I know during that hour, they're at least getting water. Because like you said, it's kind of a 2-part process. We can tell them what to do, but when they leave the studio,
they got to do it.
Yeah. So
do you advocate for, so I'll use an example. Like if I run a 50-mile race, if I spend the next 2 days after that's over, just being lazy and sitting on the chair, I'm going to recover way slower than if I'm doing active recovery. So like, do you advocate for recovery in motion and active recovery versus like, oh, well, I'm pretty sore today, I'm just going to sit around? Because I'm sure that blood flow, I'm not, you're probably way better versed
No,
on it
but
than I
you're
am.
speaking the truth. Yeah.
That blood flow,
Yeah.
it hurts to get moving right away, but then once
That's
you're
huge.
moving,
It's huge.
by the
You
end of
feel
the day,
good.
you feel way better.
Yep. So kind of
Can you kind of explain like the science behind that?
Yeah, so kind of what you just talked about, and what we just talked about was first off, say someone's working out hard, super hard Monday through Friday or whatever it is. It's all about that sleep, get 7 to 8 a night, and then like you just said, you were actually pretty good at describing it. Just the blood flow over the weekend. So we'll say rest, but stay active all weekend, even if that's going for a walk once a day or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to
whatever that
go
is.
crazy.
Yeah, you just want to continue to have that blood flow specifically to the muscles that you train, and obviously stretching is a big part of that too. So if we're stretching and we're moving,
That's the hardest part, man.
we're going to be
Yeah,
sore for that.
stretching is stretching is
Oh,
tough.
Everyone
Stretching-
hates stretching.
Yeah.
Like
It's
30
just-
minutes
yeah.
you have to dedicate
Just
to it.
just boring.
We're terrible at it, but a lot of our clients are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they'll come in early, couple minutes for the session. They'll go out on the turf. By the way, we have a purple turf, which is pretty dope.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Is
so
it the turf
cool.
with the purple beads in it? I mean, I'm sorry, little rubber beads in it.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not that because that would
Not that
be a
kind of
mess,
turf,
but it's
yeah.
just like
Yeah, okay.
Like an indoor turf.
yeah.
Oh, like an AstroTurf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't fall on it.
Yeah. Well, it's been kind of broken in now, but the first
Good.
couple months we had people.
It was rough.
scraping
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's like the old indoor soccer fields or whatever football fields. The little AstroTurf ones, man. If you took a spill on them, this is
Turf
back
ball.
in like the early 2000s, but that would just
Shred
Tear you up. Yeah.
The new stuff's not as bad.
No, yeah, it's way better now. Yeah, we were just on a.
So you got purple turf in the gym.
Yeah, we got
Nice.
like a little runway of purple turf, so we'll have the sled, which everyone hates. and
Okay.
Any
They
kind
pull
of
it on
high
that.
impact moves and any classes we do will be on the turf and
Sweet.
things like that. Yeah. So
Cool. Now, let's kind of go into Triple P Fitness itself as like a business, where you're at, where you're
Yeah.
located,
Yeah.
how people can find you,
sure.
and then kind of just, put a bow on this episode and just kind of talk about Triple P, the other trainers that are there too, if you want
Yeah.
to kind of explain the rest of your team, and then we can kind of wrap it up.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
cool.
start. You can
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
But I love our location. It's right on North Front Street there in Harrisburg, so right off the highway.
Yeah, you did. I know where you're at. I haven't been in, but the view you guys must have from.
Oh, dude,
front
it's
of that has
great.
gotta be
It's
neat.
so
It's
nice.
awesome, especially early morning and when it's
beautiful.
Sunset or
too.
sunrise.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, so private personal training, like we talked about. So everyone will schedule their appointments for the week on that following Sunday with their trainer. We have 5 trainers: me, Tyler, Lauren, Chris, and Adrian. Hoping to add 2 more to that
Okay.
as soon as possible. Really, it's just about finding the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So kind of what that looks like is we offer a free session, which we talked about. So you'd come in, kind of get a studio tour with one of our trainers, talk about your goals, and then you'd be taken through that introductory session. And kind of what happens with that introductory session is you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it, or you're going to hate it, but you're going to realize you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see
Just
that.
because you hate it doesn't mean it's not
Right,
what you need.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
exactly.
So it's cool to see that light bulb of like, wow, I really need this. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're all over social media. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. Like I said, we have a thing with the Berg. So we're in the issue the first of the month every single time, and then we have our website, which is www.tripplepfitness.com/trainme, where you can book a session with one of us. And obviously, if you ever reach out to any of the social media, send a DM. We'll get you set up there too. And so
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, I mean, I could ask like, I think 1 billion recovery questions.
Yeah.
That's like recovery and stretching is like my big downfall always. So we'll have to maybe have another episode.
yeah,
just
that
that.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Where it's
Yeah.
like, and it would probably help me because I'm terrible with that. So, well, I thank you guys for coming on.
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you so much.
If you guys are wanting to check out Triple P Fitness, you can find the links and all the info in the bio.
First session's free.
First session's free,
That's free. Yeah.
and they'll kick your butt. That way, like
That's
you said,
right.
you make sure you really want to be there. But like you said, it's good though that people realize like if they're sucking wind or whatever, they're feeling pretty bad at
Yep.
it. They're like, oh, like I definitely need this, or it's not for them, and
They're
just,
not ready for it. Yeah.
they're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a quick answer either way. So
Yeah, because you don't want someone there that's not ready to commit to it
Right.
either.
Yeah.
So
not going to do us any good either way. So
awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
us. It's great.